History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. And today we have a special guest. We have Sheena Cantar, and she plays polo. It's her passion. Now, working previously alongside the infamous Bob Proctor, she learned how the most successful people think, and she teaches others to do the same. In her previous life, she was a corporate leadership trainer and loved the sales and marketing and business, which brought her great success. But now, as much fun as that was, she is doing what she's doing now. She still loves living her best life. All right, welcome to the show, Sheena.
Thank you for having me here, Sheila.
All right. And I like to start off by asking, my show is based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. I wrote it right before the pandemic. I had no idea we were going to hit so many crazy, interesting situations. And so I wanted to ask if you had a story about a time in your business or personal life that you could share with the audience, and how maybe there was a time where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I think we've all had tough situations, haven't we? So this one was just, it hit me out of the blue, but yet when I looked back on it, I realized I could see the whole thought pattern that brought me down. So nothing really, what I realized was nothing happens out of the oblivious. It happens out of the oblivion. It happens out of being oblivious. And so now that when I started to study my own thought processes, I thought, I see my downfall. So basically, I was one of those people who couldn't get enough qualifications, studied to master's level in different things, NLP, hypnotherapy, coaching, etc. But it was just, I had so much knowledge, but I didn't have the results. And I was working so hard, but I still couldn't seem to break through that ceiling that I wanted to break through. And it all just seemed to go in the opposite direction. Now, one of the things, Sheila, that I realized that I'd done, that I thought if I took myself away from everything I loved and put myself in a wee room, basically for 6 months, that I could really thrash it out and I could really get results. Well, denying yourself gets absolutely nothing. And I just went straight downhill and lost everything: house, car, job, everything. And I ended up in a 2 up, 2 down in the middle of a city that I'd never lived in something like that before. And for 2 years, I fought myself. I was so in resistance. It was my ego, wasn't it? It was just literally my ego was in resistance to what had happened. And then just one day I thought, I give up. I don't know what to do. It was like I handed it over to infinite intelligence, going, I don't know, diddly squid, I know nothing, please help. But I accepted where I was. I appreciated my home. I tidied it up more. I loved it because it was just at the start of COVID, actually, Sheila. And I realized, well, looks like we're not going anywhere now. And within 3 months, I'd literally moved house into the house that I had drawn out for 6 months. Nice. I drew this house out over and over again. I wanted my family back together. I had a certain image in my head, and I just drew it and drew it and drew it. And then 3 months later, we were in it.
So nice. That's wonderful. Wow. So it was really your vision or your state of mind that had to change first, or surrendering?
I think it was the state of mind. It was the acceptance. What I realize now is that what you resist persists. So even though I was learning about all of that, I didn't know how to put it into practice because the ego, the fight that we're taught, learn, do, be, you must work hard. And if you don't have results because you're not working hard enough, so I just worked harder and harder and harder. And when I realized, I was in complete resistance to myself. And I was resisting being in the house. I didn't like where I lived. And I just argued with myself all day, every day, while still trying to nobody saw that. Everybody saw this positive smile. But inside, I was crushing myself. I was beating myself up. And then I remember the moment walking in the door, feeling almost shame of, not the shame of the house, but the shame of, how dare you, when this house was looking after you? How dare you think that you're better than this house? Who are you? And I just felt this absolute gratitude and appreciation. And I lived the next 3 months in complete gratitude and appreciation, but I had already been drawn out the house, and it was like the house just needed me to let go of the fight, and then it could come into being. And when I signed on that for the house, I didn't have the money. Sheila, I was listening to what Bob taught me what to do and how to think. And I went, well, this is what Bob says. Just sign on the dotted line and everything will be fine. And it worked. I practiced the principles he taught me. He says, do you believe what we teach, Sheena? And I went, oh, I have to put it into practice now.
Yes. That's the mind, kind of our mental mind of what we're taught in this realm, and what really exists are so different. And sometimes you have to ignore the person in the mind that's what, your mom's voice or your teacher's voice or whatever we've been taught that's right or wrong. I totally hear you. I mean, gosh, I lost my house in 2017 in Ventura, California, in this fire. And within a few months, with the mindset and lots of training, I was able to move to Beverly Hills and get a beautiful house, and then get a second house right before the pandemic, got a second vacation home. And so there's still people sitting there because their house burned down where I used to live. And it wasn't anything different except for the mindset. And they thought I was flipping crazy. They thought I was mad because I was like, nope, I've got this. So it is. And I had to believe that. There's something about the faith of that.
Yeah, I mean, first they laugh at you, then they criticize you, and then they go, oh my goodness, look at you, look what you've done. And it's almost like, I didn't tell anybody about my house drawing. And whenever then that I had word that this house was available, then I kept it to myself. I sort of muttered to Wolfgang, who's my partner, about moving house, but I don't think he really believed me, because I said, we're going to do this in 6 weeks. And I don't think he believed me. And I couldn't even tell him then, because I knew that my vibration, it's almost as if giving birth, that you protect the baby. And you don't tell anybody, you don't have anybody hoking and poking. And whenever you're pregnant, and just, let me just go in there and just check the baby's there. So I didn't have any of that. And it was even on the Friday, I told him we're moving on the Saturday. And he went, but Sheena, we've done nothing. We haven't cleaned the house. We've done nothing. And I went, I know, this is great. We're going to do it all at the weekend.
Oh my, that's great.
And we did. And what was brilliant, Sheila, was how I'd drawn the house, because it was just like, we're still taught move forward, but I didn't stop to really appreciate. And it was probably about 3 months later that I was cooking some dinner for my kids, and the scene that I had in my head, because it's a heart centered, it wasn't my head that got the result, it was my heart. My heart wanted to bring everybody back together, and I had a vision of cooking a certain dinner and my kids behind on the couch laughing and joking, and I was right in the middle of it cooking the exact dinner, and I went, this is what I saw.
Yes.
Then I looked at my drawing and I went, oh my goodness, the sun is exactly where I've drawn it.
Oh, wow.
The stables are where I've drawn it. There was lots of other things, but even there's a private airport down the road. And so there's private jets that go over, and I'd even drawn a private jet.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I sat there and looked at it and went, I'd seen this house somewhere before. And now I've been brought to it. Because as you say, the surrender, the gratitude, I don't know. I don't know how to get myself out of this.
Yeah.
I know now how I got into it, but I don't know how to get out of it.
It is. It's people think it's a miracle, but I think if you use it, the more you use it, the more you realize that's just the way it is.
Hmm.
And it can be that beautiful and simple. It's just it's completely not sharing it with all the different vibrations.
Oh
Like,
yeah, just keep it to yourself.
yes, yes.
I just had that call with my clients tonight and we were talking about that. I said, listen, something else interesting has happened to me. I've decided that it says in the Bible, ask, believe, receive. It
Yeah.
doesn't say work your tiny backside off. It doesn't say work really hard. In fact, it says you need do nothing. Neville Goddard's book in there, free will chapter, it says you need do nothing. I said, I'm proving a point. I'm just proving a point here. So I have this absolutely, as Bob calls them, C-type goals, and I'm doing nothing to get it. And on Thursday and Friday, we had like so close to it.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, it's like as if you're close to land that you get the birds and the seagulls, like Christopher Columbus, he saw the birds and the seagulls, so he knew he was close to land. This was it. And I'm just like, oh, I've done nothing for this. So the universe conspires to have all these other people
Yes.
end up doing something for you, and I'm proving a point. So I've told them, I said, get something ridiculous, put it there, write it out, draw it out. I don't care what you do, but do nothing except know it's yours. End of. No denying it. Don't discuss it with anybody.
Right.
Don't even tell me. Just don't deny it. Don't deny it.
Yes. Wow. That is so interesting how it works. Now, do you share this with your children? How
I'd
this
love them to believe me, Sheila, but clearly they're like their mother. They know everything.
Okay, yes, yes. Yeah.
So they're very good at repeating back to me if I go off center, and they'll go, well, you just know it's just a story, Mum, don't you? And I go, oh, thank you for the reminder. Thank you. I mean, I do appreciate it. I just got, oh, I was going off the story. So I get back on track again. So yes, I know when they're ready to listen to this stuff and to listen to what Bob Proctor's taught me, because well, it's a story. If I say I can't teach them, I just talk about things, but they've got to do the work themselves. I can't do it for them. And when they're ready, they will do it. Right now, they know everything. So that's fine. Just like their mother. I knew everything. Clearly not.
Yes, yes. It comes to a certain age where then they start to realize, and they're, oh, okay, there was something to that. How did that work again? How do you do that? So yeah, I totally agree. So now for people listening in, I'd love for you to share a little bit about a little bit more about how you got drawn into Bob Proctor's work and what was your main learnings from what he taught.
Well, it was at that time when I lost everything, and I was still studying, and it just got to the point where I thought, something's missing. I've done what everybody told me to do. They said if you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you'll be successful. They'll say if you do your affirmations, you'll be successful. They say if you work really hard, and so I have ticked every box that needed to go, but I still didn't have the results. Something was missing. And so I had a Bob Proctor consultant who had been talking to me over about 6-month period, and everything she said, I was going, yeah, but I know that. Yeah, I know that. I know that. And then she just said to me one day, she went, clearly not, Sheena. Look at your results. That was the smack in the face, which I needed. And I just went, oh my God, you're right. I'm too top heavy. And so that's what started me just going, I started to do Thinking into Results, the program. And then I got results straight away in the first month. So I had 40,000 come in, and I was like, oh my God, I know this. This is brilliant. Okay, guess what came back again? The know-it-all. The ego wants to know. It thinks, I've got this, no problem. So what happened? Lost it all again. And couldn't scramble my way back up again. So in the November, I remember I just went, that's it, I'm going straight to Bob.
Nice.
Clearly, I thought that if I attached myself to Bob, that I would just automatically be successful. Another one of those myths that you're told to be around successful people and you will be successful. Note to everybody, you have to do the internal work.
Yes.
It doesn't just happen.
Mhm.
And I had a kicking and a screaming. So basically, yes, I picked up the phone and it was 30,000 to work with Bob directly. And I was 70K in debt. And I just said yes. So it was illogical, but I just knew something different had to happen. Now, I warned my kids that we wouldn't have a Christmas because all the money was going on there. And then that's when things started I had to really work on the inside. Now, what I realized, this journey wasn't about knowledge anymore. It was about the undoing of everything I'd ever been learned.
Yes.
The complete. Nobody tells just lies on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks it's the truth,
Right.
but we have to clear every belief that you've ever had and get back to ground zero so that you can choose your beliefs. Now, if we don't clear everything, and I mean everything, the color of your skin, your religion, your family, it doesn't really matter, but clear everything, because then you'll know what's controlling you. Because if you're attached to anything, that's controlling you.
Mm.
So I cleared everything, and it wasn't a pretty sight, let me tell you, Sheila. Still see times stuck in a corner, crying my eyes, thinking I'm the worst mother, the worst girlfriend, the worst daughter, the worst everything. And then the universe was just confounding that to me. I was being brought situations that was confirming all my fears. And so I got through that. It was like the dark night of the soul, kind of lasted for about 18 months. But, I squeezed myself through this funnel, and then I started to see, I wasn't supposed to beat myself up. I was just to go, all is forgiven. It's okay. You didn't know. Next, what's the thought that will serve you now? Well, this one, right, we'll think that thought. And it was more like one step at a time. I didn't even want to get out of bed in the morning, so my alarm went off at 5 o'clock. I used my kids as my why. I would say, oh, so your kids don't matter. I would be up and I would put my feet on the floor, and I made the decision every morning that I would change everything. And so, yeah, I think you cannot not be who you are.
Yes.
You're like perfect, but
Right.
we try to be something for work, for parents, for school, for everything. So I didn't have a clue who I was, not a clue. And then I realized that it was okay to be Sheena, and I started to love her. And then I realized, well, I didn't actually really exist.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other story, and that takes us down another rabbit hole. But it was a journey of not knowing rather than knowing. Does that make sense to you?
It does, in a weird way. I remember I was making so much money as a young kid, and people were like, "How do you do that?" And they're chasing money. I was like, "I'm not chasing it. I never chased it. I'm doing good for other people. It comes back in a different way. Blessings, it's like a flow." And I never thought of it. And then everybody convinced me, you got to chase it. And the minute I chased it, it ran away. And I was like, what in the heck is going on? It was much easier when I just chilled out and did me, and it just showed up. And
oh my God, that's so true, Sheila. Is there anything I've worked really hard towards, it goes in the opposite direction.
Yes. And I was like, I can't do this. This doesn't make any sense. This chasing.
I wish somebody taught me that earlier.
Yeah, when you're serving people, when you're helping people, when you're contributing and from your heart, not fake to chase, but when you're really from your heart, that's all you need to do. And it'll show up. You'll get invited, you'll get the job or the promotion or everything is provided for us. I believe that fully.
That is, they say, the birds are provided for. They're not worried about tomorrow. It's only us that are hoarding things away. And that was one of the things that I also remind my clients. And I said, when they save for a rainy day, I says, well, then you're going to get a rainy day.
Oh.
And my mum saved for a nursing home, and she had a nursing, she ended up in a nursing home. And I said, so, money is supposed to flow, and it is supposed to be easier if we feel that effort in that we're taught. Like I was taught that in corporate about the effort and the effort and the effort. And when I went on a sales call, I had supposed to go through a script. Well, I didn't even remember my name by the time I would go through a script. I didn't have a clue what was going on. So that's the thing. If there's effort, it's force, and that's negating, and that's resistance, and it's screaming lack. And what is it? He that hath more will be given. He that hath not, even that which he
Yeah.
has will be taken away. And that's science backed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you haven't got it, then that's the message to the universe. I haven't got it. So it goes, oh, Sheena loves not having it. So that's great. I'll not give it to her.
Yes, yes, that's so true. That's so true. So what suggestions do you have for people listening in that are maybe at that point where they're trying to rebuild after this interesting time on our planet? Maybe they've had some things switch around and they're not seeing the better part of it yet. You know, a career shift or something happening. What's your suggestion when things like that happen?
Well, actually, that's what I put, what I was talking to my clients tonight about, funny enough. And it's called The Trick to Staying in Charge No Matter What. And it's all to do with perception. So Bob taught us intellectual faculties, the 6 intellectual faculties. But if we use them in one way, we're going against ourselves. And if we use them in another way, it's working for us. And it all starts with perception. And that would be the concept of yourself. So do you think that you're just a human? Do you think that your skin and bone and the brain is locked up in there and that's all you are? And that this planet, I don't know, for some reason, it's just magically hanging in the air, all perfectly calculated. And what is going on? So if anybody who's listening, you can write these down. And it's perception, reason, imagination, will, memory, intuition. And so if our perception, so to use them negatively would be, if our perception is, well, I'm just a human and I only know what I know, then we'll reason on things can only work out the way they've always worked out. So I'm thinking, so I use my imagination, not creatively. All I see is it not working out. And I think of all these conversations that I have to have. The will, I end up using it externally, making things happen. Such force, such effort. And you can do it that way, but it's exhausting. Right. So then memory, you end up creating the same memories. It's the past is brought to today, it becomes tomorrow. You know, intuition, well, you can't hear a thing because your brain's talking. So stop. The perception is the concept of who you are. Who are you? It's not woo-woo anymore, thank goodness. Science has shown us that we are light. Yes. Quantum physics, if nobody believes me, go study it yourself. Quantum physics shows that we're light, and light is everything. Light contains all colors. So if we're light, then we're pure potentiality. Wow. So my reasoning now could be, well, that was yesterday. Today's a new day. What could happen? What if it does work out? Yes. So now my imagination, what would that look like? In other words, Bob always said, well, what do you want? But arguing for your limitations, he'd go, no. What do you want? Most people don't actually state it. They get caught up in a problem rather than stating what they want. So we're very, what do you want? What do you want? No matter what's going on. If I'm confused, what do you want? So then I see it in my imagination or I write it down. But I use my will internally to hold the image. And then if I hold the image and just take the action as I know that it's already done. This is what you were speaking about before, Sheila, was about faith. Yes. And this is, faith not born of, blind faith. This is faith born of knowledge, actually, that you learn that who you really are. But then your memories now, you're creating new memories using your imagination. You got 50,000 cells of recognition every single second being recreated now with these new memories. Can you spend half an hour in your new memory? Can you spend an hour? But most people are too busy to do that. They don't realize the power of this 1 hour maybe that you spend imagining your life. But the quieter you become, then you can hear the intuition, the inner tutor. It's talking all the time, but it's a quiet voice. Or yes. It's a message on LinkedIn. It's something in the book that you pick up and read and you go, oh, that's what I need to do. Yes. And we can hear it. So those are the things that Bob said to us before we do anything. Who are you? Will affect everything else then that happens after that.
So who you're being in all you're doing. That's
Yes.
like the first chapter in my book.
Wow, I love that.
It's like my mantra after I had my fire, that house fire, was like, it doesn't matter if I'm living in a 400 square foot prefab home that I had done vacation rentals in. I was in this little tiny shed room because there's nowhere to stay. And I thought, no, it's how I show up. It doesn't matter if I have nothing or everything. It's who am I?
Yeah.
That's more important, and everything else will show up. That was the whole thing that got me out of that so fast.
Wow. And that's where, Viktor Frankl, isn't it, in Man's Search for Meaning? How anybody, wow, is just the story of that. But, to be able to walk out of a concentration camp and say they could take everything, but they could not take my mind.
Yes. Powerful.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. So now I'd love to hear how you're serving other people. How are you working with other people? What your program entails?
I think one of the best ways to serve people, Sheila, doesn't take a lot of effort. Like we were talking before, your attitude, just being what you cannot not be. Allowing yourself to be you, you will feel the space, you will feel the freedom. And if you walk into a shopping mall, your very presence is going to change people. Imagine smiling at somebody and just saying hello.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody said hello to them for so long and you put a smile on their face. Like that's the first way that I think that when we can serve people, we're always serving no matter what we're doing, but we don't think we are. But no matter what job you're in, just like you said before, it doesn't matter what home you're in, what job you're in, everybody's serving everybody. It does. Even when I buy groceries,
Right.
I'm serving just by doing that, because everybody has to get everything in line to have those groceries there. But yeah, so that's the one thing, just to make sure that there's, everything we're doing is actually serving. So our attitude in that really does affect everything. So I work with a program, Bob Proctor's program. Now I know that he left us in the physical form in January this year. But that means that he's just even more powerful right now, because he is in every single word of this program. So yes, his Thinking into Results program, his elite program. And to be honest, it's been a lifesaver for me. That's why when anybody talks to me about it, they can feel my heart and soul in it. And that's 12 lessons that you have for the rest of your life to teach you how to think. Not the noise, not all this, but this, think like this. But not because you want to think like Bob Proctor or Sheena Cantar, but in this funnel, which squeezed out all the thinking that was not serving me in any shape or form, so you could see myself. And it's a leadership program, and it's for people, the best people who get results. So those people, Sheila, probably like yourself, who've studied and studied and studied, but they don't have the results. So you've got the results. So by their fruit ye shall know them. And that's the thing. If you haven't got the results, you've got to look and go, hang on a minute. I've done all this work, 5-10 years. I'm trying to get a business up. Your current thinking got you to where you are. It will working harder. Please, people, please, anybody listening, do not work harder. And you don't need another qualification, unless you're going to be a brain surgeon, of course. Like that would be very helpful. But other than that, it's your mindset, 95% mindset. And when you can clear the rubbish and hear yourself, you will be led to what you want to be led to. And it is not you choosing something. You have been chosen for this idea. You did not choose me. I chose you. And you can see that now, and you can just go, oh, I'm just supposed to say yes.
Yeah.
To these wonderful ideas. Not do I deserve it? You don't deserve anything because it's yours already. So how could you deserve it? You can't not work towards it. So that's the line of thinking we take you on. And one of the main things is you can study every program as a human, or you can study it as the spirit that you are, the energy that you are, the light that you are, and you will get such different results. So yeah, that's what I take people. That's what I take people through, helping them live their best life. And the first of that, actually, Sheila, is finding peace. If we don't have peace of mind, then we have a bit of chaos going on.
Yeah.
And we want to bring clarity to that. And that brings order. And order is heaven's first law. So we want to bring some order. And it brings order. And it's good.
Nice. Nice. That's really nice. For me, I have trouble in the sense that I am more in that other world, in that other realm, in that light realm than in this one. So when the two meet, the form and the freedom come together. And I think that's the beauty of how Bob was able to put it into a course and into words that you can understand no matter where you're coming from, or, oh, that's my language. Okay, I understand that. Or it's the other, and he'll put it in different ways so you get it from where you are to where you want to go.
It doesn't matter what level you're at. You may never have studied this before, and you'll hear the simpleness of it. But then I've been studying it for 4 years, and I'm still amazed. I go, oh, go figure. The whole of Neville Goddard's book, lesson 1. Oh, the man's a genius. And I even hear, even like the Course of Miracles, there's things I'm hearing there, and I'm like, oh, Bob, like you never cease to amaze me. There it is. I can hear your reference there. And he always said that. He said, this is not my material. This is things that have been said for 2,000 years, but nobody's listening. They think it's new thought. It's not new thought.
Yes.
This is it. It's not mine. I'm just repeating it.
Exactly. Incredible. So now how can people reach you and learn more about what you're sharing?
Well, the name Sheena Cantar, I did actually make it up. Sheena was my birth name. And so luckily, if you Google me, I'm the only Sheena Cantar that pops up. You can find me on any of the social media, and literally you just type in Sheena Cantar, and I look like this. I keep the same look so people know it's the blue and the gold and the blonde hair, and we're done. We're easy, and I'm easily found. So yes, you can find me on any of the social media just by typing in my name or Google. Either way, doesn't matter.
All right.
Easy done.
That's great. That's great. And as we're coming to the end of the show, I'd like to maybe ask you, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
It's okay to be you.
Nice.
Literally, it's okay. There's nothing else to be said, because I remember the points in time where I changed myself to fit in. I can see it all happening now. But I was okay, and to trust myself.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Yes. Yeah, I just think of any child. You see a child and they're dancing or they're singing or they're being themselves, sharing whatever's in them that just comes through them. And they're incredible and beautiful, and everybody's applauding for them because they're just being who they are. And
then how dare you be that when you're older?
That's all we have to be. We don't have to try to be anybody else, because that shoe doesn't fit. It's the wrong one for us. And so that's it. I love that. That's incredible. Oh, I'm just so inspired, and so glad that you were able to be a guest on the show today, Sheena. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right. And for those tuning in, we will be back after these messages. All right. So thank you again, Sheena.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right. And stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages. All right. All right, get ready to take some notes. This is Sheila Mac here on NBC, Sheila Mac Show, KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we've had a special interview with our dear friend who has trained with Bob Proctor himself and had so many incredible secrets and things to share about how to bring forth abundance, beauty, wealth, happiness, and all the things you desire in life. And you might think, well, does this stuff really work? And I believe it works, but I do believe there is some work involved in it. So one of the things I did was, here's a story. And it's a true story. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a flat tire after getting 4 brand new tires. It was kind of wild. And not only that, but when I wanted to call the auto club and go ahead and have my car towed to the Mercedes dealer and get the new tire on, guess what happened? I lost my keys. Now, I'm thinking, how is this manifesting something good? This doesn't make any sense to me. This is like not what I wanted. This wasn't my intention. What's going on here? And I was in my vacation home in Las Vegas, and so if you know what's going on over here right now, we are finally getting rains, and unfortunately, we've had major floods. And so I had this meeting I was going to attend, and I did not go because not only did I have a flat tire, but because I would work around that and get the AAA to help me, I also didn't have my keys. So I had to cancel that meeting. And I was so frustrated, but I said, no, there's something good about this. And I missed being in the middle of that terrible flood, which would not have been good for myself or my car. And so oftentimes I believe that the universe will give us a course correction, a reroute. Maybe you call it a soul reroute or divine intervention. And I really think that's what happened. And so finally, I went with one of my grown kids, and we went over to this place we go to once a week, this Osteo Strong place, to do our weekly workout. And there I had left my keys the week before when my beautiful daughter drove me over there. So of course there were my keys. Right after the flood passed and everything was safe again, I got a hold of my keys and I was able to get my new tire. And I was a little bit kind of feeling like, how can I make this a good, beautiful experience? Because, going to get a tire is a little frustrating. And this was me applying this law of asking. How can this be magical and fun and beautiful today? I really did this. I was all by myself and I said it out loud. How can this be more magical, fun, positive, and beautiful today? And the craziest thing happened, or did it? Because actually, as I was riding in a borrowed car, following the AAA truck that had to tow my car over to get the tire, because for some reason I did not have a spare. Isn't that funny? But anyway, so I'm getting towed over, and right across the street from where the dealership is, I found that one of my favorite new nail places, got my nails done while I was waiting. And I thought, oh, I really would love to get my hair cut. And then I found this place to get my hair cut that was highly recommended, that I've never been to, but I loved. So I did that. And it was just really nice. Everybody at the service department treated me so well, and I made new friends sitting in the waiting room. I actually got a new client looking to transfer over and buy a home, a vacation home, also in Vegas. And as you know, I also do real estate, so that's my other thing that I do. And so all in all, everything went even better than I thought. And it was because I feel like it was because I asked that question of how can this be even better? How can this be even easier today? And so see if, just for fun, see if tomorrow or later today, or even just right now, ask the question, how can things get even easier? And see what shows up. And that is my most recent manifestation that happened, that was just so obvious and wonderful. And I really believe, again, that the universe conspires for our highest and best good. So when there's times where you feel like, oh my gosh, this isn't working out, or why is this going this way, there often is something to it that we're not seeing that's actually for the highest and best good or for protection. And we might not see it ever. Like I got to see that flood, but you might not know what it was that you didn't have to deal with because of that wonderful goodness that happens sometimes that's just for your protection. So keep that in mind. Now, the other thing that I have noticed is that if you're looking for something to happen, if you're working on something, sometimes surrendering, letting go, and not trying so hard, or just making that shift to doing things differently is going to make all the difference. So, a fun other thing that happened to me a while back now was back in 2017. I did lose a home to the fires in Ventura, and I also lost my car. And so that wasn't a cool thing to happen. And I really was determined to stay on the positive side of things. I was doing my declarations and my affirmations and all the things that I mean, the fire was still burning for like a month. And I'm jumping up on my rebounder, and the neighbors are looking at me like I've lost my mind. And I borrowed a very old beater car from one of the kids that the windows you roll up by hand. I mean, I tell you, it drove sideways, not straight. It needed so much work. And so with my clients, working in Beverly Hills, mostly with the real estate, my clients, one client called me up, which was a good friend of mine, and said, well, I'm flying in and I want to move over, and I'm coming in from Virgin Islands, meet me at the airport. And I said, okay, I'm going to rent a car. She knew about the situation. She says, no, I'll rent a car as long as you drive it, because you drive on the different side of the street. And so she rented this Mercedes, and it was the cutest thing. She said, you know, that looks like a good car. That looks like a good car on you. And I thought, okay, that does look like a good car. It feels great. Drove it all weekend. And that's that act as if, that, you know, go feel it, go walk the house, go drive the dream car. And the next week I had rented, working with other clients, I did rent a Mercedes that broke down. And it was a really older model on this Turo app. And the owner came to get me and, you know, take over the car. And then I had to Uber. And at that same moment, it was literally 4:44 in the afternoon. I looked at the time and I was like, oh, that's a magical number. Okay. But this is not magical. It was hot. It was summer. I'm in this broken down car. I'm going to be late for the client. So we rescheduled. And I get an email on the phone, because I have everything hooked up on the phone. And this alert comes in from a car dealership that wasn't a Mercedes. It was just like a general car, maybe something that one of my kids signed up for. I don't know. I never signed up for their car notice, but they said, hey, we'll give you $75 if you come in and test drive a car. And it was literally very close to where this other car had broken down. So I said, well, you know, the $75 will be nice, because literally everything was tied up with the fire, losing the house, the car, and paying for, you know, until you get insurance and everything straightened out is kind of tough and rough. And I had just paid for the house, so it was not a cool time. So I said, all right, I am going in a positive way. I'm just going to go test drive these cars that I can't really drive for my type of work. I need a special, a nicer car to drive the clients in. So this isn't the right type of car, but I'll go and get the $75 in groceries. And you know, in that lot, they had a pre-owned, it only had 11,000 miles on it, which is nothing. And it was the Mercedes that looked exactly like that Mercedes that I had been driving that prior weekend with my friend, helping her find her house. And so that was just, I was like, no way, that's my car. And I said, well, I really want, I'll test drive the other car, but I really want that car. And I said, I don't know if it'll work out or what, if we can get it to the right price, because all my credit, everything's tied up. I just bought the house and lost it, lost my car, blah, blah, blah. And so we got me into that car, and I was so happy. It was actually $6,000 under Blue Book. I was able to use my commission, buy the car, and I had some payments, but paid it off within like 2 months, and it was pretty cool. And I still drive that car today. Yes, I love that car. It is a very special car to me because it just manifested out of nothing, and it was such a miracle. So that's that faith part. That's that surrender part. That's going past what your mind might say is going to make any sense. Like, really, honestly, I just went there for the groceries, and I actually did get that $75 in groceries. They were very happy to sell the car because nobody wanted to buy the car at that dealership, and it was a perfectly good Mercedes, only 11,000 miles, beautiful, and they had it at that super discounted rate. Now, if I would have listened to my mind and thought, well, I'm not going to go over there. That's not the kind of car I want. But listen to that. The universal law of just surrendering. I surrendered to, okay, I'm going to go and be open-minded and see what's available. And the next thing you know, boom, I get my car at the best deal ever. And they helped me out with the credit I needed for the few months to pay it off. And it was wonderful. So sometimes when we question things with that thinking mind, um, it it keeps us blocked from the reality that's so close to us. So that's just something to think about this week. And now I'm going to share a little story about how I first encountered Think and Grow Rich when I was very young. And that's something that I know Bob Proctor always talked about. That was his book he read every day, and I do still read mine every day as well. Take a listen. Now, my memory, or my first meeting with Napoleon Hill, was actually back when I was 8 years old, and I did actually mention it in my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. This was such a changing point in my life. I was 8 years old. I was living house to house. My family was not, my mother and father were having health issues. They weren't really able to care for me full time. So I was sent from one relative's house to the other. Sometimes I was with the healthy grandparents. Sometimes I was with a group of grandparents that wasn't so healthy, and there was a lot of abuse going on. And at this point, I was 8 years old. I remember I was actually in a nice neighborhood. Unfortunately, the home had a lot of abuse going on. My mother was home with me for a short time, and I had taken up some little part-time jobs helping out in the neighborhood. So I would literally, this is back in the day when this was, I guess, the normal thing, I would go help out with cutting the lawn or cleaning and actually polishing furniture when people actually did that. And I would go do that for the neighbors and get money. And so I went with my hard-earned money, and I went over to another neighbor's house who was having a garage sale, and I found this incredible book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And at the time, my little 8-year-old mind, okay, this is 8-year-old mind, there was a lot of abuse, and my mother wasn't financially able to, or health-wise able to help me. She had polio as a child, and she had some other issues going on and emotional things, and so it was hard for her. And in my mind, I thought, okay, this book is going to do it, because it is going to tell me how to think and grow rich. And I really need to do that, because I wanted to get my own house
or apartment for my mother and I, so that we wouldn't have to be moving around, and she would be in a safe place and I would be in a safe place. And so I took this book home and I slept with the book. I read the book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, from cover to cover. This little 8-year-old girl, I read that book over and over again for an entire year, and I literally still have that original copy with me today. I keep it on my nightstand by my bed, and I still reread it from time to time, and it has been such an incredible gift. And I think that somehow it was something that the principles in there, I took that to heart, a lot of the principles in there, and I really lived by a lot of that, and the idea of creating a definite plan for carrying out your desire and beginning at once, whether you're ready or not.
It is possible to rekindle your love life. Take a listen.
Dear Sheila, my husband and I have been married for 30 years, have just sent our last child out into the world, and they recently started college. We both are professionals and each have our own hobbies and have grown apart over the years. Help! Who is this man I have lived with, raised my children with, and now am looking across from our large family dining room table from? It is like a stranger. The house is quiet, the meals are smaller, our jobs have been scaled down, and now we have time and don't know what to do with each other. We are not arguing, but we really don't communicate. It is getting to be very uncomfortable. I'm actually scared. I know we are now the empty nesters, but I'm afraid that we have grown apart for so many years. I am not sure where to start. Sheila, do you have some suggestions on how we can get to know each other again, have joy with each other, and start this new season of our lives? Signed, Empty Nesters. Dear Empty Nesters, wow, what an incredible life you've had, parenting your children, having amazing careers, and now it's your time. It's time to start over, to start dating again, start having fun again. It sounds to me like you had some common ground with how to raise your children, and you did an incredible job getting your last one off to college now. Things will change again when later you have children getting married, grown children maybe having grandchildren. So you have this space, this beautiful space and time in your life where you can actually get to know your other half, your husband or wife. You can go do fun things together. I would start by dating each other again. I would start by having fun. Go do the things that you wanted to do that you couldn't afford to do because you were paying for all these things for your kids. Extracurricular activities get to be yours now. What is the one vacation you wanted to do that you didn't have time to do? Now that your careers are slowing down a little bit, you have time, you're more established, you can go have fun with that. You may want to just do something as simple. One of the fun things that I love to do was to write down simple things that you both love to do. It could be 10 different things or 20 different things you love to do, maybe 30, and you write it down and you literally put it in a bowl or a hat. And you would just pick one day a week or 2 days a week where you just pull something from the hat. It could be, if you're in California, a trip to Catalina, or if you're in New York, you're going to take a boat ride around the Statue of Liberty or something like that. So think of fun things you like to do. It could be going to a concert or out to dinner. And spontaneity, bring spontaneity back into your marriage, because now you don't have all those things again. And I would play games, get to know each other. What are you looking for, or what did you stop doing that you love to do that you kind of had to put down because you were raising kids and working? Was it a sport, an activity? Maybe you like to hike and maybe now You're going to start by doing gentle hikes or walks together. Maybe it was something that you both love to do, to go dancing. You can take dancing classes again. So have fun with that and get back to us and let us know how that's going. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you. To be honest, I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mac Show on YouTube. And there you can see past recordings, and you can also see other information and shares that I have. And I would love for you to share in the comments there what you're needing more of and what you're rebooting this year and how we can help you get back on track. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and I have a special free gift announcement for you.